cross switcher, which can be pretty annoying since you need two of them in your hand in order to even play them. But here we go. We're getting down to the match.
Headed into our match here, starting off with Azul's turn. We see an Ultra Ball discarding, oh, I can't really see those two cards there, but searching out any Pokemon from the deck here. Most likely going for getting down a future attacker, because we already do see the Bidoof here in the active, which is going to be the draw engine of this deck, the Bibarels, that just kind of help propel things into the match here for Azul.
Yeah, Bibarel being the draw engine, Arceus being the early game attacker, and that is what Azul grabs off this first Ultra Ball. We'll see if he has an energy card in hand. That is the main thing that you want as an Arceus V-Star player. Getting the Arceus down on turn one and then also finding an energy. And sure enough, Azul does have one. We'll just pass it over now to Jake.
Yeah, just a great setup there for Azul and over to Jake. Also a very similar setup you kind of want. I mean, energy attachment on first turn is always...
Yeah, but a little weak here. Has no supporter and just has to go for Rule the Region.
For that stadium.
Yeah, it's a pretty weak attack on turn one. Not the ideal setup for Jake. Usually he'd love to get some Sobbles down, and it looks like Sobbles are all hiding right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and that might come back later, especially when you're playing against a deck that you know you're going to have that weakness matchup with as well. So that is going to be tough. You always want the most optimal setup in any situation, but especially in this circumstance, you need as much edge as you can get, and not having that early game prep is kind of tough.
So as we wait for Azul's turn, he's probably going to be trying to set up the attack with Arceus here. And that Starbirth V-Star power is an easy way to get things moving. Does have a Quick Ball in hand. Is going to just start with an Evolution Instance. Oh, I think Azul is sitting on a pretty stacked hand here. Lots of ball search cards.
Yes.
Can get a bunch of evolutions out, and this is really looking nice.
Yeah, if we have the ball searches in hand, we should be able to see a lot of Pokemon come down and just kind of accelerate all of that energy out onto the field as well. And really kind of the opposite sort of situation here. We have the Bibarel there for the draw engine. We're going to see the Pokemon come out here and just kind of cruising in this setup here for Azul. I'm sure he's feeling very comfortable at this point. And
the Quick Ball to get down the Flying Pikachu. This is perfect. The last three cards in hand for Azul are two evolutions and a basic Pokemon. So he'll evolve into Arceus V-Star, evolve into Bibarel, bench the Flying Pikachu, and then Industrious Incisors will be able to fill the hand up to 5 cards. I mean, that is just ideal. And he hasn't even played a supporter yet, and he hasn't even used Starbirth.
Woo, and he has so many cards to choose from here, all upside down, but flipping them over there. No supporter in hand, though, even though there wasn't one played, but that is A-okay with this the setup so far. I don't think we saw any...
He doesn't have the double turbo
energy,
yet.
That's what I was about to say. The double turbo to be able to get that Trinity Nova off and also line up the Pikachu on bench with those energies, which is pretty important in this matchup as well. So we'll see what is working in the hand right now.
Yeah, there's kind of 3 main things Azul would like to have, and he would have really liked to have drawn one of them off of the Industrious Incisors so he could just Starbirth for the other 2. Those 3 cards being a supporter card to play for turn, a double turbo energy, and then a way to move this Bibarel out of the active spot. So Azul will just have to Starbirth for those 2 pieces, and is just, you know, you don't have to show your opponent what you take off Starbirth. A little bit of a power move here from Azul.
I was about to say, yeah, for everyone not familiar with the Starbirth ability, just searching out 2 of any card in your deck there. So as Chip said, having those 3 cards that you wanted would always be great, but still a very good position to be in when you get to go into your deck and fish out anything you really want to play to your hand there.
Azul now plays a Quick Ball. He can eye up either Flying Pikachu, maybe Crobat V, but I think decides better of it, just puts the Flying Pikachu V into hand. He's got everything he needs to attack, so even though he's not playing a supporter, the turn isn't perfect, it is still very strong. He has a pretty low bench size here as well, which is very key.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely what you want to see when you're going against the Palkia, because they do just stack damage with those heavy benches on both sides. So that would be very something you want to watch for to just, and I mean, that's something Pikachu VMAX can do as well, is just keep a low bench. You already have that draw engine from the Bibarel, so we are going to be able to see the Trinity Nova here For that, 180 damage with the double turbo energy, and then going in to the deck, finding 3 basic energies and attaching them in any which way that Azul wants onto the Pokemon, 2 on one flying Pikachu and 1 on the other.
Still a slow start here from Jake. Does at least have a capture energy now to go fetch a Sobble out of the deck, but this is still just so slow. He's playing to a next turn. Drizzile, not ideal at all. A lot of damage on this active Origin form Palkia as well. Azul should be able to pretty easily clean this up this turn.
Yeah, and unfortunately that is the Palkia that was, one of the energies at least, was committed for the energy attachment on first turn. Unfortunately with these Drizzile decks, I mean, you see this sometimes happen. Oh, and the path to the peak, bumping that Temple of Sinnoh over here as well on Azul's side, passing it back, and ooh.
I think just checking how many cards his opponent had in hand. Does have Ultra Ball to go fetch the Flying Pikachu VMAX, and I think after seeing Jake's slow start, this is really a good idea from Azul to target the setup Pokemon. If Jake isn't playing any cards, it's likely he's holding on to Evolutions or Evolution Incense,
which is exactly what we see. Yes.
And so a super heads-up play from Azul, a great read. Boss's orders, brings up that Sobble and takes it out.
Yeah, because oftentimes on the fields, you have danger levels, you know, what is going to be attacking me, but also if there isn't that optimal setup, like what can I take out right here, right now to be able to kind of just stalemate my opponents.
And Jake sees that he is just way too far behind. There are 2 setup Pikachus on the bench. We're going to scoop it up and go to a game 2, and that was a very dominating and very fast win from Azul in game 1.
Yes, which, I mean, we have seen that already a couple of times today with those quick games, but going into another game, it is still very strong position. I mean, even with the weakness, Palkia could still potentially pick things up with the just broad force of that deck. It is so powerful. Unfortunately, as we could see, Azul is kind of playing to his advantage of not having to put down all of those Pokemon and really limit the damage ability from the Palkia. And then on top of that, having the weakness damage on top of that is just a really difficult position to be in for the Palkia player. And on top of that, having such a delayed start is unfortunately such a downfall there. But still, going into another matchup, we will see what happens. It might be the opposite. You never know. Flying Pikachu could also stumble a bit.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely a little clunkier to get set up, and Azul did have a very ideal draw to start the game in that first one. Having a bunch of evolutions on turn 2, just filling the hand up with Bibarel, getting off the Starbirth. I mean, things could not have been drawn up more perfectly for Azul. Jake, on the other hand, is going to really be trying to hunt for some Sobbles on turn 1 here. Try to get some in play because Shady Dealings is the life of this deck.
Yes, definitely. And just as Shady Dealings is the life of that deck, having the consistency of the Arceus V-Star ability as well is very important for Azul's deck too. So you do have that Bibarel as well, but again, that's a random draw of the deck, so you never know what you are going to get from that. But still, having the V-Star is, go search 2 of any card from your deck, and that is exactly what we saw Azul do in the first matchup, to line up his hand with exactly what he needed to propel himself into that first game.
So Azul did have to take a mulligan. Jake will start this game with +1 card. Take a look at some prizes.
Our prize cards here.
1 Arceus V-Star on Azul's side. A double turbo as well is a little annoying.
Yes,
Jake does prize that Inteleon, which can definitely come up. That quick shooting ability. Really nice to boost your damage output whenever your opponent is trying to limit their bench.
Absolutely. All right, so we see the quick ball here from Jake to start off the round, discarding a card from hand and searching out a basic Pokemon from the deck. And just doing a deck search here, gonna be familiar with the prize cards that are down, probably knowing that Inteleon is going to be in the prize card, so just factoring that in to the strategy of the matchup as well.
The thing Jake would love to find this turn is a way to get an energy on a Palkia, which I don't think he has in hand. It's not too big of a deal to whiff the energy, but whiffing the basic Pokemon is really unfortunate because you can make up for missing an energy by evolving into the V-Star and using that Star Portal V-Star power to get the extra energy attachment into play.
I think I said Quick Ball, but that was a level ball to search out a Pokemon that is 90 HP or less and get them out on the field, which is why we're seeing the Sobble go down.
Can't
and
quite
another
get the Palkia.
Sobble, but no Palkia. Yes, that is devastating, actually, especially not only, I mean, we were talking about how devastating it is to not have the energy attachment, but not to have the Pokemon at all
to put it onto.
Is even worse, because you do still have to factor in those evolution turns as well. Passing it over to Azul. I'm sure Azul is very familiar now, seeing, oh wow, there's not even an Origin Form Palkia out yet. So I need to do the best I can with this turn. And he's just going to Professor's Research. That entire hand here going into a fresh 7 cards to choose from. Seeing that there was also not a lot that was wanted in that hand. So just drawing into a fresh couple of cards. I do see a Quick Ball here in hand as well, discarding that Arceus V. Oh, maybe not.
Debating it here.
Oh. Well, if that Quick Ball does discard the Arceus V-Star, which is what we are going to see happen, now searching out a basic Pokemon. That Quick Ball art and the level ball art are so similar to each other. But yes, so, searching out our basic Pokemon here, going for the Flying Pikachu V, and also searching through the deck, being familiar with those prize cards. I did see, I think there was an Arceus that was discarded into the discard pile, and there's also one in prize cards, too.
Right.
So
yeah, Azul chose to discard one with a Quick Ball. It looks like he drew into another one in hand, so he knows he'll still have access to that V-Star power on the next turn.
And here we go, passing it back to Jake, and Jake, I think, was that a top deck of that Drizzile? Going into the deck with the Shady Dealings ability from the Drizzile, being able to search out a trainer card, searching out a Quick Pull to discard a boss's order to go back in and finally find that basic Pokemon, which is most likely, of course, going to be this Origin Form Palkia V.
Yeah, this is pretty nice from Jake. I think the last card in hand is another Drizzile and a Research. So he can fetch any one playable trainer card out, maybe a Capacious Bucket, which is what he decides to go with.
Exactly what it is. There we go. Searching out those 2 basic water energies and putting them into hands, shuffling up here. So there at least is a little bit of a silver lining here for Jake with this hand. It's good that all of the Sobbles came down first turn to at least be able to kind of protect and not have anything knocked out there too. And we are going to see a Professor's Research as well from Jake on this side too, drawing into another 7 cards that we can now see.
That Radiant Greninja is a nice pickup here. That Concealed Cards ability, one of the best new cards from Astral Radiance, just discarding an energy card from hand and drawing 2. Every single deck plays energy, so a card like this has to be powerful.
Absolutely. Getting that extra 2 draw, especially even sometimes off of Professor's Research or like Marnie's, you could draw into a hand that is still not really the best case scenario.
Right.
So having that extra 2 is very important. And now we are going to see a Quick Ball here, discarding, an Ultra Ball here, discarding 2 Pokemon, or sorry, 2 Sobble and an energy to search out any Pokemon of choice from deck, grabbing another Palkia.
Yeah, I think what Jake is wanting to do here is protect against a potential of Azul to go boss's orders, you know, Choice Belt, Galarian Zigzagoon, KO on the 1 Palkia on the bench, which would be 220 exactly. Azul doesn't actually play the Zigzagoon, but Jake is, you know, being wise to play around that, get another Palkia into play, so you guarantee yourself the Star Portal, excuse me, on the next turn.
Absolutely, and we do see this Temple of Sinnoh is also in play on the field.
And that's a big deal because Azul now needs to find a replacement stadium in addition to the double turbo energy if he wants to pull off a Trinity Nova this turn. It's obviously not too hard to do when you have access to Starbirth, but now that he has to bump the stadium, it's one less other combo piece he could get, right?
Yes, and that is definitely what you want to do to just play to your advantages. Make your opponent go through all of the outs in order to get where they need to get to. So yes, that Temple of Sinnoh, making any special energy just 1 colorless.
Right.
So taking away, of course, that double turbo. So that is why that would not be able to be carried out. But again, we were probably going to see that bumped because it is very important to see that energy acceleration from Azul with that Trinity Nova.
And once again, Azul just has a really powerful hand. He's going to get to draw 4 cards with Industrious Incisors. Does find the path to the peak. Already has Arceus V-Star, which can get the energy card. He's got Flying Pikachu on the bench. This is looking really nice.
Very nice. And going into that V-Star power, the ability in order to search out any 2 cards from the deck. It looks like, of course, the double turbo that we talked about in order to get that Trinity Nova off. I did not see what the other card was, though.
You got the double turbo, and I believe it was a Marnie there. So wants to play a supporter this turn still. Has the path to the peak in hand like we mentioned. So really coming together very nicely. The Marnie, a great disruption option here.
Absolutely. All right, benching that Pikachu V as well. Playing out the path to the peak to be able to get this Trinity Nova, and that is... actually going in with the Marnie first, so we are actually going to see the disruption as well for Jake's hand. And let's see what the cards are for Azul. There's an Ultra Ball in there, a Crobat VMAX, Arceus V, and I think a Boss's Order. That's also what I saw.
Boss's Orders and a Marnie as well. So Azul has plenty of options next turn. Can either go with a disruption path or go aggressive with the boss and try to take out something on Jake's bench, depending on what Jake does here.
So we did see the knockout there with the...
and Jake just has like nothing in hand here.
Oh, I did not see that.
It was like Palkia V-Star, which is nice, but you can't use Star Portal because of the path in play. Evolution Incense is a great top deck, though. Okay.
Very nice. Yes, we did see the knockout there on that Drizzile for Azul, taking that prize card as well. And then going back into Jake, getting that Evolution Incense out. So important. Unfortunately, we're seeing this instead of the shady dealings kind of getting you just what you want to propel yourself forward, kind of saving Jake at this point.
Yeah, it's getting him what he has to get in order to stay in the game.
Which is not really a position you want to be in, but unfortunately that is sometimes what happens there. So that Evolution Incense still searching through the deck here to see what wants to come out of this deck from the Pokemon.
Yeah, plenty of options. Can get any trainer card out. Another Evolution Incense could go get the Shady Dealings Intellium potentially to get 2 cards out.
Yes.
So that might be what he's eyeing up here. He's got Choice Belt in hand, so that can boost the damage a little bit. But I don't think there's much he could do to get to the knockout on this Arceus V-Star this turn.
All right, going for the Evolution Incense and the Raihan.
Or Evolution Incense got the Drizzile.
Yes,
yeah, and now into the Raihan.
Yes.
Which gets that energy acceleration. Very nice. Doesn't have to bump the stadium now in order to use Star Portal. Has the necessary energies attached. And I think that was just an Irida grab for the next turn, trying to prep for what's coming up next.
As well. Yes. So the Irida is going into the hand off of that Raihan that accelerated the energy from the discard pile to the origin form, Palkia, and then searched out any card from deck as well. So just preparing the hand for next turn. Attaching that Tool Jammer to shut off any tools that Azul decides to put onto any active Pokemon as well.
And we're seeing a 200 damage attack here. The subspace swell. Really damaging that Arceus. Azul does play Sharon's Care. Let's see if he can maybe find access to it. That would be a huge turn here. Sharon's Care, pick up this damaged Arceus, and then start attacking with Max Balloon of Flying Pikachu.
Yeah, that is kind of the optimal turn that you want to see with this deck. Being able to just scoop up all that damage and say, nope, you're not taking any prize cards here, and you are also going to be taking an attack as well. That Flying Pikachu VMAX coming down for Azul to evolve on the bench too. I don't know if we've really talked much about Flying Pikachu VMAX with that Max Balloon move, doing 160, and then also preventing all damage to attacks from any basic Pokemon, which is not as relevant in this matchup, but what is relevant is the weakness that we are going to see. Unfortunately, on this origin form, Palkia, we are seeing a Marnie here for both players, shuffling both their hands, putting it to the bottom of their deck, and then drawing cards off the top. Jake drawing 4, and Azul drawing 5.
And this is looking really nice. Azul does not get the Sharon, so it's not a perfect turn, but it is still very good. Sends up the Flying Pikachu VMAX, will take a KO with the Max Balloon, and he's already prepped 2 energies on the bench Flying Pikachu thanks to double turbo energy.
Yes, taking those 2 prize cards, and Jake going straight into an Inteleon evolution for that Shady Dealings ability on the Inteleon to search out any 2 trainer cards from the deck. At this position, Chip, what are we even going for in this?
It's looking really tough for Jake.
Very tough.
I think that his one play to get back into this game would be using the Radiant Greninja Moonlight Shuriken, damage both of the flying Pikachus, and then just hope that somehow, some way, Azul doesn't get away to get a lightning energy onto the bench flying Pikachu, since it doesn't have the necessary energy to attack yet.
Absolutely, going for that Pal Pad and a Scoop Up Net. Being able to, here we go, use the Pal Pad to search 2
Very nice.
supporters out of the discard pile and shuffle them back into the deck here. And then I assume we might also see that Scoop Up Net as well on the Inteleon, and then just rebenching the Sobble and then re-evolving the Inteleon. We see this often with players to just be able to search out even more cards from their deck with pretty much double Shady Dealings abilities here. So going into that Inteleon and just searching through the deck, deciding what 2 trainer cards do I want to take out here.
And Jake does eye up the path to the peak, and something that's really unfortunate for Jake in this game is he actually only plays one stadium that isn't path to the peak, which is Temple of Sinnoh.
Temple of Sinnoh.
And he's already used it this game. And so for that reason, I don't actually think there's going to be a way for Jake to utilize Star Portal at all this entire game.
Yeah, that is going to be very, very unfortunate to see as well, because that greatly affects the ability to be able to attach those energies and have some sort of rally back from either the Greninja or the Origin form Palkia as well. So
Jake's doing everything he can, though.
Yes.
Swinging with the Aqua Bullet. Does 120 damage to the Pikachu. Throws 20 more onto that Arceus, now sitting at 220. Azul, though, certainly in the driver's seat here.
Definitely. Even without that Sharon's care from Azul, we still see a very dominant position here, kind of deciding whether or not he wanted to actually bench down another Bidoof and deciding against it, I think, at this point in time. Oh, maybe. Okay, we are going to see another Bidoof come down, and then a Marnie as well for the turn. So both players shuffling their cards and then drawing 4 for Jake and 5 more for Azul. So we'll see what else Azul gets in this hand.
Yeah, getting that lightning energy is huge here. He can attach to Pikachu for turn, and he's got 2 attackers set up. And by taking this 1 prize KO on Inteleon, he'll go down to just 2 prize cards remaining, meaning all he has to do to close out the game is attack into an Origin form Palkia V-Star at some point, and he will win.
Absolutely, and Jake does have 2 of them on the bench here, obviously wanting to bench as many Pokemon as you can, playing Origin form Palkia, because that is what's going to stack your damage. So here we go, Azul.
I think just doing some math here, seeing how much damage Jake can possibly do next turn.
Yes. Oh, wow.
For that reason, is actually going to retreat into the flying Pikachu. Wants to try to protect it as much as possible. Go into the clean Pikachu that has no damage on it. Max Balloon only dealing 140, but thanks to weakness, it is enough to knock out the lightning weak Inteleon.
Absolutely, taking that prize card for Azul and passing it back into Jake. So we are just seeing so much damage on board, but no knockouts, unfortunately, here for Jake, which has really stunted this game, unfortunately. But going in here for Jake. Oh, we are seeing
Jake sees the writing on the wall, doesn't have a way to close it out. So Azul Garcia Griego will be our winner here in round 3. A pretty dominating game. You can see how this matchup is just so solid for the flying Pikachu player.
Yeah, and I am sure Azul is feeling very good. Maybe, I mean, we saw this deck. I don't know how different it is for Azul from last week in Milwaukee, but I think just feeling comfortable with the deck, feeling like it flowed very well, and taking the placement that it did. I think it was a good decision, bringing it into a field of Palkias.
Absolutely. If you can find a consistent way to beat Palkia V-Star, you will definitely do solid in the events today. Absolutely. There are tons of great players on Palkia, tons of just Palkias in the room in general, so you're probably going to see plenty of it in your rounds throughout this tournament.
Yes, definitely, and that is going to be awesome to see how